Hello, this is our course called Analyzing the Force Structure of a Roman Timber Truss. Here's our agenda and the background. This is a course unit under an architecture history class that lasts for one semester, and the target audience are undergraduate and graduate students who are not majoring in architectures. This course unit will teach students to analyze the force structure of a Roman timber truss, which can be hard. So why do we design this course? Because there are problems with the traditional way of teaching. There are two major ways of the traditional way of teaching. The first one is to teach statics and architecture mechanics, which means to go deep into physics. However, this is hard and time-consuming and also not the goal of an architecture history class. And the second way of teaching is to not go deep into physics, but just generally talking about the truss structure. However, students cannot understand truss structure well without an understanding of the force in the trusses. So, this is our first how might we question. How might we design a course that not go deep into physics, but can teach students to analyze the force structure of a trusses intuitively? So here's where we are in the big pictures. We have our goals. Majorly, we have two parts of goals. One is the memory and recall part, which provides the knowledge foundation of the analyzing force structure and also helps students understanding why they are learning this. And also we have the major part, which is to analyze the force of each components in the Roman timber truss. We didn't bother to write the goals in like ABCD version because most of them like given them and for what kind of students are majorly the same. So we will keep this simple version to refer back. So in our cognitive test analysis, we have our initial assessment design, which is just simply giving students a section drawing of a truss and ask them to identify, to recognize what force in each components. And we got some data from this. First, we refer to the textbook, and according to the structured interviews with domain expert, we drew a sequence of analyzing force structure of the truss. And we put them into empirical CDA. We did think aloud on 14 people and find some really interesting things. Students with 2 or more years of high school physics experience but no college physics experience. In high school physics, we assume that everything are just rigid body and analyze their external forces. We assuming that there's no internal forces. So we will draw the force diagram on the whole body. However, the correct way to solve this problem is to use the college physics skills, which to draw analyzing force on the nodes. So what students with high school physics experience it's just struggle a lot and keep trying for a long time because they make the mistakes. They make a mixture of those two kinds of drawing. They mix the external force and internal force. Clearly, they have a mispreconception that bothering them from getting the correct answer. So what we will want to do is to correct their misconceptions. And see, the more expert students, they don't have the misconception and do things quickly and correct, while the most novice students, they also don't have the misconception, so they do things quickly and wrong. So here comes our second how might we question. How might we design to correct people's misconceptions? The answer is a personalized feedback system for most possible misconceptions. So here is our models and insights, and we will redesign our assessment test due to this. In assessment design, we want to make sure people are not only learn because they have seen the pre-test again. So we will not want the exactly the same pre and post test. So what we do is we have a test version 1 and test version 2. These two versions with basic questions the same and the advanced questions different, which are the transfer tests. And we made them two different sequence 1, 2, and sequence 2, 1. So like we can later test whether these two versions are equal in difficulty. So for the memory and recall part, the two versions are the same and they are aligned with our goals. For the skill part, the two versions are still the same and they're aligned with the goals. because our goal is to analyze the force of something. However, the only evidence we can see is to recognize the force in something. So when the students get it correct in recognize something, how do we know students are really understanding but not merely reciting? For this, we rely on the transfer test, which is to give them a different trust structure like they have never seen in instructions and ask them to analyze it. And this is a part the two versions of tests are different. And also they are aligned with the goals. So here's a general view of our instructions. There's 3 parts of it. The first one is basic knowledge. Second one, analyze force structure. Third one, transfer tasks. And also they are aligned with our goals. And we use here's are some principles we use for instructional design. We use some real-world related examples, and also we use pre-training and segmenting. We draw some like neat illustrations to clearly demonstrate our ideas, which Greg really loved it. And also we have this pop-up references for reviewing terminologies, which student can do is to hover on the screen text and get this explanation on the terminology they have just learned but they may have forgotten. So, and also we did some learner testing with our prototypes to refine our models and insights. The major problem we find is a problem with the work example is that what if students don't understand or don't accept the reasons or rules being taught? So we have this quote, "Yes, but why not? I don't understand why my original thought was wrong." So again, how might we design to correct people's misconceptions? Go back to theory and principles. What the e-learning textbook says is that is practice effective for problem-solving skills? The answer is we don't know. However, Ken has explained some about this in his slides, which is why the testing effect is not efficient enough for rules and skills is because the testing effect or practice is based on memory and fluency building. However, what if we can combine the induction and refinement with the practice so people can get individual feedbacks on their misconceptions, and also they are doing inductions and refinement to improve their rules and skills? So here it comes with our innovative principle, which I don't have a name for it, but the basic step is to break the skills into steps, give students chances to make their best guesses on each step before they receive the instruction. So when they get it wrong, they are at the edge of learning. This is more like a deliberate practice or just-in-time telling, and at that time, we will give personalized feedback to correct their misconceptions. And also, if they get it correct, we just explain and reinforce the rule behind the step, which will look like this. And for the A/B testing of this innovative principle, we have version A, the control group, is majorly the traditional work example slides, and the version B, the experiment group, is our active ingredients. Every other things remain the same, and also the contents of this two version of page 2 are same. It's just the interactive format are different.
Then we did data analysis. So first, all our data analysis is based on this assumption that all our subjects taking different instructions and tests are with equal abilities. It means no one before the instruction is better than others. First, we want to answer. We have two different versions of assessment. Are they equally difficult? The result shows it is not. We can say the average score of pre-test for test 1 and test 2, they are obviously not the same, and we can find the score for test 1 is lower, so test 1 is more difficult. This is problematic for even if people learned after our instruction, confronted with a more difficult exam, they may even perform worse. So as a result of the different difficulty in our different assessments, we find comparing the performance from different instructions can be confusing. First, we have 4 groups, like this group A1, 2. It means a group taking instruction A and with test 1 as pre-test and with test 2 as post-test. So if we only consider those subjects with test 1 as post-test, we can get this first diagram. This is pre-test and this is post-test. So in pre-test, the performance is different, but they finally reached the same higher point. And the improvement from instruction B is bigger, so maybe B is better. But if we only consider those who have test 2 as post-test, we can find the opposite may be true. For here, we can find the improvement from instruction A might be bigger, so maybe instruction A is better. So which instruction is on Earth better? So it seems we cannot directly compare scores from different assessments with different difficulty. So we standardized our scores by this formula. And we can then compare the standardized scores from different assessments. And we get this diagram. This is the line of instruction A and this is the line of instruction B. They are quite similar. And from this diagram, we can conclude, first, both instructions improve the students' performance a lot. So they both worked. And second, there seems to be no difference between different versions of instruction. We cannot say instruction A is better than B or B is better than A. We get these conclusions by observing the obvious truth. But in the next part, we are going to use significance test to verify the conclusions. So first question, is proposed performance improved? We did significance test and we can find the data value, the p-value here is rather low. It means we have great confidence to believe there is significant difference between pre-test scores and post-test scores. So we can conclude that our instruction worked. It leads to a great performance improvement. And question 2, does B instruction improves performance better than A? We did the same thing and we can find a rather high p-value. It means there are no significant difference between performance from instruction A and performance from instruction B. So we can conclude both our instruction A and B work, but they work similarly without great difference.
We do have some positive feedbacks. The most frequent feedback we have is, "This is so much fun." And actually, I didn't expect this kind of feedbacks, but I at least remember like 6 people have taught this to me, because this course is not originally intended to be fun. I guess the reason they find it fun is just because when you are able to explain things very clearly and the rules and rationale behind it, people will just find it fun. Like instead of you actually make things fun, like making games. And also, the second major feedbacks are, this is clear and helpful. And someone even asked me to, could you tell my teacher to incorporate this into his course, because I didn't understand it when he taught it, but I totally got it, like finally totally got it with your course. So here's what we got. Thank you so much.